Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Modern Working Musician. I'm your host, Keegan Peluso. My guest this week is guest number 2 in our 5-part Nashville series that I've been doing. And they're also our first ever returning guest to the show. My guest this week is Miss Phoebe Scott. You might remember that I interviewed Phoebe in March of 2020. So I think you all know what happened in March of 2020. So she was the last guest before everything shut down. So she's back on the show. Last time I talked to her, she was still enrolled at Belmont University for songwriting. She has since graduated and is doing all kinds of just crazy cool things in the music industry. We talk about how life has changed since she was in school, what opinions she has changed, what has stayed the same, what inspires her now, and just all the really cool stuff happening in her career. She was also our most listened to interview last time, so hopefully we can break that record this time. I don't know, but Phoebe's awesome. It was great to sit down and chat with her again. We also elaborated a little bit more on our conversation of feminism in the music industry, which is really great, really eye-opening stuff. As usual, you can find everything Modern Working Musician at keeganpeluso.com/modernworkingmusician. And let's go ahead and get into it with my good friend, Miss Phoebe Scott. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Modern Working Musician, where we're on a quest to find that there's no one set career in the music world. I screw up that sentence every single time. My guest this week is Phoebe Scott. This is part 2. You're also our most listened to from the previous interview. So
what a profound honor.
We got to break a record, 86 streams. So
oh my gosh.
We got to shoot for 87. So
87 is the goal.
Phoebe, you are a songwriter. You work in the music industry. You work for a nonprofit. You just do a butt ton of stuff, correct?
I do a lot of things. It's kind of crazy. And also recently I've picked up like a side gig doing like copy editing as well. Really? Because as many of you might know, it's not very lucrative to like be in the music industry unless you're super famous. Yeah. So I have to do a lot of different things, for income, but I'm determined to not do anything that I don't enjoy. There we go. So if I have to do it, then I just decide that I enjoy it, which has worked out so far. But at first I was like, copy editing sounds boring, but I actually love it so much.
Really?
It's like, it's so much fun because it's like grammar, which I'm a nerd about. And then also like if the sentence needs like a fun little word, I just get to sprinkle that in there.
Oh yeah. And
then people usually don't notice that I like fully change the meaning of the sentence because they're just like, oh, this is done. Period. Let's send it off. Yeah. So it's another creativity type moment. So I appreciate that. But yeah, I do a lot of things. I feel like you have to do a lot of things.
Yeah. Every person I know in this business right now does not have one job. So I think
gotta have multiple.
Yeah. I think that's one great thing that we've been able to explore on this podcast. Though, is like, man, like what makes your music career, what we think of as a career in like, I guess say like the normal world is like you're 9 to 5, blah, blah, blah. Right. But like, one of the interviews I did last week, my friend Corbin, he's a music teacher, but he also plays musical theater gigs. He gigs in a band.
So fun.
And like all those things are all encompassing of his career, not just his 9 to 5 or anything like that. So
it's all about everything. I feel like, and also there's a balance there that's important. Yeah. But I think the most, if you enjoy, like I said, if you enjoy everything that you do, whether that's like, this is something that I'm actually passionate about, or I know that this is helping people, or this makes me feel joy or like release, or just like I'm able, like when I copy edit, I just like turn my brain off and I can do like a repetitive functional task, and has nothing to do with like my individual creative performance. It's literally just like getting something done, which is like so nice. I feel like for creative people, because we don't feel that ever. I mean, when I'm like doing a tune, I don't ever think like this is done, this is finished. There's no way that I can make this better. I never think that. But when I'm copy editing, I get to feel that. And I didn't know that I was going to go on this like big tangent about copy editing. But listen, I'm telling you, if you're a songwriter, just proofread your friends' papers or something. Just like do that. It's just like so relaxing.
And
I enjoy it.
That task, because, you know, like music is such a creative art and you're like forced to use that creative muscle all the time. Like it does, like muscles do fatigue.
Yeah,
so having
absolutely.
something to kind of relax and recover.
Yeah, it's like a rest
muscle.
day for my brain.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing.
It's perfect. Cool.
It's amazing.
Last time I talked to you, I think you were on the cusp of graduating.
I was. You were literally in my, also take a shot every time I say the word literally. And have fun with that little game.
It's okay.
I
say that's fantastic.
That's fantastic.
So
that's better. That's better than literally. I kind of love that more. Okay, so I'm gonna try really hard not to say it. But you were in my like a campus apartment. Like we were set up at my like fake table in my campus apartment, and that was my. Geez, I think that was. I'm trying to think of like the length of my hair. I think that was my junior year.
That sounds right.
I think that was my junior year. So that was right before. Yes, it was because half of my junior year and my whole senior year were like COVID moment.
Yeah.
So it was my junior year. So I was on the cusp of graduating. Good memory, Keegan.
I'm trying.
Very good.
So did you graduate like, I don't know what Belmont looked like after COVID and stuff
It
like
was
that?
very interesting. I graduated in April of 2021. So now I'm a little over a year post-grad, which is crazy. But I did it. And here I am,
Heck yeah.
a semi-functioning adult. But so I graduated in April of 2021. We didn't walk across the stage. We were all sitting like 4 seats apart from each other. We had like 7 like different ones. Obviously, Belmont is smaller than a lot of colleges, but we split it up by college and then in half again. So it was like the Curb College, which is the entertainment and music business college that I graduated from. That's a pretty large thing. So whereas in a normal situation, we would have all graduated together as a college, maybe on the lawn, like in a big kind of area. I think this past graduating class actually did graduate on the lawn, which is very upsetting to me because I've always wanted to do that, live my High School Musical 3 fantasy, but it just didn't happen that way. And it's fine and I'm letting it go. But we had to sit apart from each other and wear masks, obviously. And, we didn't walk. We just stood up and like waved when our name was called. And it was so lame. But I didn't feel like I could like mourn that really because I had friends who graduated in 2020 who like didn't even get to go to a graduation.
Yeah.
But it was still like not the college graduation thing that I had imagined it. And I think that there were things for all of us that we kind of had to like mourn. Yeah. And be like, well, radical acceptance of what is.
Yeah.
And this is what it is. And it's a bummer. But I mean, like, it's better than that. It's better than not getting to go to a graduation. So I am grateful that I actually did get to go to one.
Yeah, totally.
And also very jealous of anybody who graduated from NYU because the actual Taylor Swift gave the actual commencement speech.
Really?
And I feel like that was so... You didn't know about that?
I did. I'm culturally ignorant.
Sure. And also you're a dad. But so there's your actual big excuse.
That's my excuse.
That's your excuse. Your excuse now is that you have a baby child.
Yeah.
But before that, I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, she was like the speaker, gave the commencement speech, and then they gave her a honorary doctorate of fine arts.
Oh, wow.
Because of all she's done for us. That's my girl.
Dr.
Anybody
Swift.
who knows me, I know Dr. Taylor Swift. It's crazy. But yeah, so going back to my graduation and not something totally irrelevant, it was definitely weird, but I'm so grateful for it. I think it was great. I got to sit a couple seats away from my friend Cameron, who has the same last name as me. And we're friends, and we had this thing like all through school where anytime we would like do anything together or anything, he would just go, "It's a Scott thing." Oh, and then when I stood up, he was like, "It's a Scott thing."
Oh,
and it was
great.
just like a very sweet moment.
Yeah.
And so I will cherish that for the rest of my life. Love you, Cameron. But yeah, so there were weird things about it, but it was also, I'm glad that it happened.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like when people go to college for music, Mine was, I went to college for music ed, so I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna get a teaching job and stuff like that. The big question when you when you tell somebody you're gonna go to college for music is like, what's gonna happen after you graduate? So if you could walk me through like maybe the first few months to year of like post graduation, what were your plans? Did you already have things lined up before you graduated, or was it graduate then go on the job hunt and stuff like that?
Great cue. Okay, so I kind of I had to move out, right? I had been basically a dependent of Belmont University for 4 years. I had this awesome scholarship that I am so grateful for, that put me through school, which also paid for me to live on campus all 4 years. So I didn't really have any expenses. So like all of a sudden I was like, hello, everyone's asking me for money. This is so weird. So, but like, praise God, I found a place and I got settled in there. All through college, I worked at this nonprofit called Friends Life Community, which is a day program for adults with disabilities. And my brother has a disability. So I just like always had like a very big heart for that community of people.
Totally.
And so I just continued to work there post grad. I was like, okay, this is my day job. This is my fallback. This is a steady source of joy, and also, as it happens, income for me. So I was just like, I'm going to go here. And it was actually incredible because as soon as I graduated and I had a little bit more time to give, because previously I was just doing like the afternoon thing. I would have all my classes in the morning and I would do my afternoons at Friends Life. And then when I like had full days to give to them, where I was like, it works out financially and time-wise for me to be here these 3 days a week. They're like, okay, well, like you have a degree in songwriting now, like let's explore that. Like, what does that look like? And I have been able to like create classes and curriculum using my songwriting degree at my job, which is amazing. And like, they didn't have to let me do that because they already had like all these classes that I had been teaching and leading. Like, we do this thing called service learning where we go out to the community and like volunteer. And through that, we learn like independence and job skills and all of that. So that is something that I love to lead, and I had fun doing that, but it wasn't like, didn't have anything to do with like my musical passion. But now I'm like on in like the director's circle in the performing arts department there. And I'm helping to build that. And, I've built my songwriting class in that area when we're actually working on collecting songs and trying to make an album with the songs that the individuals who we call the friends who attend the day program, who they have actually written these songs with some very kind of, I don't even know like what the word is for this, but just like some very like laid back guidance from me. Like I want their ideas to just flow. Cool. So really I'm just like the structure police. I'm just like, let's try to make this flow a little better, but I want it to be their ideas. So we're fundraising right now to make a record, because that's like the highest, most dignified form of music is to record it and to perform it live. And we've been working on live performances, and now we're working on an album. So I am very grateful to Friends Life for giving me a space to like have that like financial stability in a way, and then also have the freedom to pursue my individual songwriting passion, because that's still my like ultimate thing that I want to be doing all the time. Yeah. But letting me use that in my day job, as it were. And also it's just like actually such a joyful place. And so I'm very grateful for that. So that was what I was like, okay, I have this. Yeah. And then the administrative team there was just like pouring out all of this like gratitude and opportunity onto me, so that I felt like I was actually like impacting a community while also like using my skills that I had just learned for 4 years. So that was amazing. Wow. So that's what I did. And then I had 3 days at Friends Life, 8 to 5. So like you're not writing any songs that day unless you're like doing a demo at your house, because co-writers and producers also want to keep the same hours as regular people. Also, I don't function at like a night write. Like I can't do that. Like after 5 o'clock, I'm 84 years old. I'm getting dinner and I'm going to bed.
I'm the same way.
So I literally can't do that. I don't understand. People are just like, yeah, so like, do you guys want to do like 8 p.m.? And I was like, the answer to that is absolutely no.
Nope.
The answer to that is a big fat absolutely not. So then my other 2 days a week, I was just booking up with writes. Like I have, you know, again, praise God, I have a lot of connections in town because I've been here for a while. And I was just like reaching out like, hey, do you want to write? Hey, do you want to write? Hey, do you want to write? I was asking a lot of artists. And a lot of producers who did sync stuff for film and TV. So I'm like really into that at the moment. And I'm also, it's so funny because I feel like on the last time that you interviewed me, maybe I was saying that like I don't want to do Christian music because it's boring or whatever. But now, Keegan, look at me. Literally all I do is write for CCM. It's
really?
Crazy.
Wow.
It's literally insane because I literally told God, I was like, I don't want to do this. This is boring. It doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, girl, but this is what you're supposed to be doing. And I was like, okay, fine. And so then one of my best friends, her name is Natalie Lane. She's an incredible Christian artist. She just graduated from Belmont with her master's in music. So she's a masterful musician, literally. And I've been writing a lot for and with her. She's an incredible songwriter, vocalist, musician. She's amazing. And so I've been writing a lot for and with her, and also with an entertainment group called We Rock Entertainment, who is an entertainment group for Christian artists.
Do they have a place on Music Row?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Their stuff is in.
Okay, I thought I saw a WeWork thing on Music Row.
Maybe you did. Maybe they're expanding, and I don't know about it.
Well, I don't know a lot of things about the city, so I'm more likely wrong than you are.
Well, I think that's about 50-50. But they're out of Franklin.
Okay.
And they're like a CCM thing, and they do these evening pitch meeting type things where like the artist comes and you split up into like camps of producers and writers and just like pitch songs to the artists. And so I've been doing I've been doing a lot of that for Christian artists. Crazy. Recently I just did pitches for Toby Mac's label called Goatee. And we just did pitches for their A&R, and that was really awesome. So, I mean, it just goes to show, you know, I wasn't letting the Lord lead me, which is why I felt like I was failing. And obviously, I don't know. I feel like there's no such thing as like actual failure in the kingdom of God. Maybe that's controversial. Please come for me, all 87 of you that are going to listen. But I just like don't feel like that just like doesn't feel true to me. So I know it's not about what I feel is true, but I just like, I never feel like, oh, that was a failure.
Yeah.
I mean, like I failed to be led by the Lord, but I never felt like, I feel like failure would insinuate that he like left at any point. Gotcha. And I just don't feel like that's true. So I did not feel like I was having as much success as maybe I could have been having. There were a lot of things that fell through when I graduated. There were a few companies that I had relationships with that I was like, okay, I graduated. I have more time. Like, please give me a pub deal. Thank you. And they were like, no. And I was just like, well, literally, what does that mean? Like, I've been like busting it this entire time, like trying so hard. Why aren't you giving me what I think I deserve? And I think it's because I thought that I deserved it. I got and I was approaching it with that attitude. And eventually I was just like, Lord, I want to move forward. I believe that I'm made for this. Like, what do I need to do? And that's when we had the conversation where he was like, girl, you're being silly. And I was like, what? And then now I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I feel like. So sometimes you just have to have that moment. But yeah, so there were a lot of things that fell through when I graduated, but then there were a lot of doors that opened up. And I mean, it's like I said, I mean, I refuse to not have a good time. I just like really refuse to do that. And so if there's something that I have to do, I just decide that I enjoy it. Okay, and there are a lot of things that I've had to really work to decide that I enjoy. But I'm just like really determined to have a good time. And that's so awesome. I'm having a really good time.
I like that. I love how you, like everything you do, you make it a point to be passionate about it. Whether it's, copy editing. I would like to backtrack a couple things. This is for the entirely ignorant such as myself. What does CCM stand for?
Oh, yes. I have found that a lot of people actually don't know what that stands for. People are like, CC what? And I'm like, girl, let me tell you. Contemporary Christian music. Oh, so like positive, encouraging K-Love, that's what they play on there.
I did not know that's what that abbreviation was for.
Well, there you go.
So I apologize.
No, you're good. You're good. Like I said, I'm finding a lot of people. I'm having to backtrack a lot because I feel, I'm always in the crowds of people that know exactly what that means.
I
am. But it's actually not common vernacular because people don't want to listen to it because it's boring. Yeah, I feel like I have also made it a point to work with artists. Not that I can be choosy, and I'm not being choosy. Yeah. But I do find it whenever I'm in a CCM room to like really push for something interesting because that's what people want. I mean, there's this concept in CCM, and it's like our listener's name is Becky, and she's a passive listener because her kids are being loud in the back of the minivan. So all we have to do is get one really inspiring line in there and repeat it over and over so that Becky gets it and Becky wants to listen to it again. And I was listening to a podcast with Jack Antonoff on it. Not that he has anything to do with Christian music, but he has a lot to do with the industry, and it's kind of like always kind of has his finger in it. Like him and Ryan Tedder especially are like, we got our fingers on the pulse. We know what's happening. We know what's about to happen. Yeah. And he was saying like the listener is smarter than we think they are, and their attention span is more than we think it is. And I think the reason that like there have been these seasons in all genres of music where the songs are just, they're like really watered down. And I'm like, it's insulting to me as a person who makes music, but I also think that it's insulting to people who listen. Yeah. Because it's like, and I think the 10-minute version of Taylor Swift's song All Too Well, like being listened to over and over and over again, like being her most played song as an actual 10-minute song that even people that aren't psychotic like me know all the words to and are like really into. I think Jack Antonoff was saying on this podcast, he was like, I think that goes to show, like, obviously people are huge fans of Taylor Swift, and if she sneezed into a microphone, they would spend $40 million to see it live, which is true for me. Yeah. But the people are also just like, they want to hear something interesting and cool and new and different. And that's why stuff like that happens. So I think that we're assuming on the unintelligence of the listener. And I think that that's why music, especially CCM, and I'll say this, especially CCM, is like really watered down. But the stuff that breaks through is really cool, is really vulnerable, is really honest. Because then you're not really putting yourself in a box. Like, you're not putting yourself in a box of like only people who have gone to church forever and know the vernacular and know the language are going to be interested in this. That's not what it's supposed to be. That's not the Great Commission. That's not go make disciples. That's you're preaching to the choir, literally over and over again. And that just doesn't cut it. That doesn't cut it for me. Yeah. And so I know that I'm 22 and I have absolutely no footing to be this hoorah about what I think the genre should be, but I just like really feel that way. So yeah, that's what CCM stands for. That's how we got all the way here to my tangent, is you asked me what that stands for.
I think that's a very valid point though, because I think a lot about countercultural music, like especially country music, like like the Sturgill Simpsons and stuff like that. The guys that are just like ripping mainstream country music to shreds. Yeah. Like, but they are capitalizing on valuing their listeners' intellect above what is considered mainstream. Yeah. And it's nice. It's very refreshing. And this is me being an ignorant person of like, I have very widely generalized contemporary Christian music. Sure,
absolutely. And so has everybody. Yeah.
And like being a musician, it's really hard for me to just like vibe out to contemporary music. Sure. It's like,
you're not just going to like put Tomlin on like while you're doing your dishes. Like, you're not going to do that.
Yeah. Like, all right, heard that before, figured it out. Fine. Yeah. So the fact that there is this movement among Christian music to value the intellect of its listeners is really encouraging. So I think that's fantastic. Yeah. Also, don't sell yourself short on being 22 either, because not that we are like, I mean, I'm 31, so I guess are we in a separate generation? I don't know.
I don't know anymore. I think it's all fake.
But I would agree. But no, I think one thing we talk about is the generations coming up that are more and more well versed in the internet. For as damaging as a place as the internet can be, the people that have been exposed to it more as they grow know how to navigate it better. They're a lot more self-aware. You know, like me and my brother talk about, or me and my wife, because you know we taught middle school for a long time. Like middle school kids are so much more self-aware than I ever was. You know, I was like sixth grade. I was like, you know, going outside and doing dumb kid things. You know?
Sure.
And, like, these kids like are politically motivated.
Yeah.
They know like so much more.
Absolutely insane.
And there is a far and away more pressure that they are under.
Sure.
But like, yeah, I have such high hopes for the people who are younger than I am that
absolutely.
are more well versed. And I think what you're saying really speaks to that. Like even in all facets of music, and especially contemporary Christian music, like we can, like good songwriting, good lyrical content, good musicianship, like those things are coming back. I think it's great.
I'm so thrilled about it. I feel very blessed to be involved in that. I think the independent artists that I have the pleasure of working with are so passionate about saying something new. And I don't know, I just feel very fortunate to be involved with people like that.
That's awesome. Do you feel, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to.
I'm going to answer it.
In your writing sessions, do you feel that there's a generational gap between like some of the younger writers and the older writers?
That's actually a great question. Yes, I do feel like when I am in rooms, like for example, when I do these pitch meetings at We Rock, I feel like I definitely approach it differently when I'm writing for, I approach my writes differently for each artist, right? So like if I'm writing for a young female artist, there are things that I will say from my perspective as a young female, and also things that I won't say that I could say for if I'm writing for her, if I'm writing for a middle-aged guy with kids and a family, I'm going to write differently there. But what I have noticed is in a lot of the rooms that I'm in, like in general, like not at any one specific place, but a lot of the rooms that I'm in are, there are writers that I've written with, especially in CCM, that I cannot get them to say things that I've not heard a million times.
Really?
And I have to like get in like grown dudes' faces in a very like God-honoring way and be like, this is not entertaining. Like, this is not what people want to hear anymore.
Yeah.
Like, this is gonna, like, because you're you, like there are people that have reputations and have connections, and so their songs are gonna chart.
Yeah.
But you're not actually making an impact. And if that's okay with you, and and like, obviously I shouldn't have said this, probably, whatever. But I was like, if that's okay with you, then like we can totally do that. If you're okay with not actually making an impact, then we can totally go forth with your idea. But, some of these guys are not nice either. So it's hard to like be nice to people that aren't being nice in general, as a general rule. But, I told them, and I've said a version of this to lots of people, like if you're okay with not making an impact and you're okay with saying something that's been said a million times, then we can totally go forth with that, because you're the artist and it's not up to me. And I will serve you to the best of my ability. But also I kind of am going to top out at some point.
Right.
Because I actually have a lot of things to say, and I work to say interesting things. And so if I'm in a situation where the person just wants to say something that's been said a million times, I'm like, you could probably do this yourself, and I don't know why I'm here. Right. So and that is definitely a road to being jaded. So I really try not to go down that road a lot. I really try not to have conversations like that a lot. But there are these few instances where I feel like I have to tell this person that it feels like a waste of time to write this song, because it's been written over and over and over again. And so, and those people do tend to have a few more years on them just because they've been in the industry longer, and that has worked for so long. So I totally understand why they feel that way. But they called me into the right. They heard that I was good at writing songs, and I feel a responsibility to show up as myself and be like, these are the ideas that I have. And it's hard sometimes. Yeah, but it's not that I don't get invited back to write with these people after I say things like that.
Yeah.
It's that they are then up to this point, and I'm sure that I'm going to say the wrong thing to the wrong person eventually, and then I'm screwed, right? But so far, it's been a very beautiful thing to be open about that with these artists, because they feel that too. Like, they feel like, man, I'm in a rut. I feel like I can't be creative anymore because I know the formula works, and so why not use the formula, right? I'm just like, well, also you have fans. Like, you also have fans that really love you, that are going to be in for whatever you put out, as long as it's good and honest and from like a genuine place. So I feel like, again, people just assuming that their fans are zombies and don't actually care what they're listening to, which is just not true at all.
Right.
So I definitely feel like as a young woman, I have different things to say, right?
Right.
And even for other young women who feel differently than I do about things, you have to, especially if you're the writer and they're the artist, you have to kind of give a little bit. But I feel a responsibility to be honest and say, like, this doesn't feel like anything to me.
Right.
So, and that is usually because of a generational gap. But sometimes it's not. I mean, sometimes people are my age and they hear what's going on the radio. They're like, well, I should do that. I'm like, no, please do something else. and you know, I'm constantly praying about how to do those conversations better.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're important to have.
Yeah, I think that's great. There's so many things about what you just said that I think are valuable too. Like, there's a level of, you know, like, at what point do you do what's working, and at what point are you complacent?
Right.
You know? And then the workshop I was in yesterday with Aaron Sterling, he talked a lot about, you know, do what the artist wants, but knowing that you're willing to push back and offer your own creative input is just as valuable as an asset.
I think it makes you more trustworthy.
Yeah.
As a collaborator.
And it makes you memorable.
Yeah.
Or memorable and like willing to work with. He was talking about how there were guys, you know, he's like one of the head. If it's on the radio right now and has drums, he's playing them.
Yeah.
But that was because he was willing to offer creative input to what he was doing, to where he wasn't just like show up and playing exactly what they wanted all the time, offering no pushback. Because those are the guys that like, they kind of just fade off into the distance.
They don't stand out at all.
Right.
I'm never in a session where I feel like I wish that drummer would have just shut up and played the drums, or I wish that guitarist would have just like done the parts that I said he should do. Like, I never feel that way. I'm always like, please bring your gift into this, because it's gonna make it so much better if everybody is using their gift and everybody's contributing their like fullest, truest self into that environment. And I feel like you miss out on so much if you just expect like session players especially to come in and just like do the thing and leave. Yeah. You like totally miss out on that.
Yeah. He was talking about the phrase, oh, that old gag. Like, people say like, oh yeah, we're going to do that old gag again. Well, like, you're doing it for an artist. Like, they automatically know that you don't really care about it that much. Yeah. You know? And, you know, one thing he talked about yesterday, and this is a guy that he plays 3 songs. He tracks 3 songs a day, 5 days a week for like Ed Sheeran, Taylor Swift, insane. You know, and he talks about how valuable, he's like, what we as musicians need to remember is like, the artist, like, it might not be special to you, but it's special to them.
Absolutely.
Like, how would you feel if like something was really important to you and the musicians were like, yeah, we're just gonna do that whole thing.
Yeah,
like,
whatever.
Impersonal, don't care. Yeah. Like, that's disingenuous and that's hurtful.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's really important. And I think you make a point of like, when you walk into a room, you're like, all right, you're gonna remember who I am.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
So.
And, you know, and that's not the goal. Like, the goal is to like go in and come out with a really good song. Like, that's my goal. If I get caught, like, I know myself. There is a part of me that is it's very deep. It's very deep down. It's very small, but it is really loud, that really wants to feel like the most important person in the room. Right. Like, I really like attention. I really like to feel special. And I know that about myself. See, that's that self-awareness kicking in.
There you go.
And I know that about myself. So I cannot focus on wanting to be remembered. I can't. This is why I decided that I don't want to be an artist, like a solo artist.
Really?
Yeah, that's new, by the way. I don't want to do that anymore.
Really? This
yeah.
isn't fun anymore?
I
brought it back.
Oh my, you really did your homework. Yeah, it is really, maybe one day it'll be the right time for me. But I just feel like the way that the things that I am struggling with right now, and that I've been struggling with since I was really young, of just like needing to feel important and finding my value, my identity, and my worth in what other people think of me. Being an artist, if you struggle with that, being an artist is so dangerous. And I just was like, that's something that I'm fighting to, exorcise from myself. Like, I don't want that to be true of me anymore. And when I was in a development deal with a label, I was like really, really like in a very dark place mentally, because all I was doing was worrying about like what my freaking Instagram looked like. And there are people like Natalie, for example, my friend Natalie, and I would say this to her face. She is so great at like, my identity's from the Lord and this is my job. Like, she's so good at like balancing those things, and also like, again, very determined to enjoy it. And I like so love that about her, and I honor her for that. And I like, she's amazing. And again, I would say that to her face. So hi, Natalie, if you're listening, just a shout out to you. But I don't have that. I can't separate that. So I just decided, I was like, I would much rather be the writer, and my only focus is to get the great song. And then the band works, Coopertheband works, because it's not about me.
Yeah.
It's about all of us together, working together to make one really awesome thing.
Yeah. That
can stand alone and be awesome and reflects on all of us equally. But our identity then is as a family and as friends to each other. So like, Cooper isn't my bandmate, he's my brother. Like, those are my brothers. And so our identity is, we're a family who writes songs, and if you want to listen to them, that's awesome. But I'm not like the front woman of a band. You know what I mean? I mean, so it's just like something that I've discovered about myself, like in COVID, was like, I am struggling because I'm not getting attention. Like, I'm struggling because I'm not in Nashville. I can't like go into studios and like be a writer and a great singer. Like, all I have right now is myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is terrible. It was like, I can't do this. So yeah, I mean, I just like, the main concern for me when I go into a write is I want to come out with a song. Yeah. I cannot think about how am I coming off? Like, how do I look? How do I sound? Like, are people laughing at my jokes? Like, I can't, if I focus on any of that, then my, like, the percent of good lyric that I'm throwing out and contributing, like, goes down, like, so fast. So I really have to go in and, like, I have to be prayed up. Like, I have to be like, Lord, help me to go in here and just, like, honor you and do this, for the kingdom, contribute to the kingdom, do this as if I'm doing it for you and only you, amen. And then I get out of the car and I just go in. And obviously I'm not perfect. I'm not, like, praying every time, but when I think about it, when I feel myself really slipping into that place where I'm like, okay, I'm going in here to get my identity and then I'm gonna leave, when I feel myself feeling that way, I'm just like, Lord, you got to take this out of me because this is a demon and I can't handle it. So yeah, it's like, and that's a hard transition for me too, so because initially I was like, if I can't be an artist, then what is my value at all? And that was the cycle that I was stuck in, and I was just like, this is not gonna work, and like, I met my now fiance, and I was like, I want to like be a good wife to you, and I want to, and these are actual genuine desires that rose up in me as we started getting more serious in our relationship. I was like, I want to be your wife, and I want to be a mom, and I want to like be part of a stable family unit, for once in my life. And I don't feel like some people can. I don't feel like I can be a rock star and also do that. So, I mean, different things became important to me, and I found the beautiful, wonderful world of songwriting that is flexible and rewarding. And I mean, and I'm just like, I like it here. I'm sticking right here.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Cool. I think it's very powerful and also very mature of you to be that self-aware. And know those things about yourself. Because I mean, it would be very easy to kind of feed that demon of
absolutely
like, self interest or
Absolutely.
whatever.
And it is easy. And I have done that. I like immediately when I got here to Nashville in 2017, I was like, all right, it's all about me now. Let's dye my hair pink. Let's wear a lot of lipstick. Let's do what everybody else is doing. Let's just absolutely chameleon to everybody. And like all through high school, I was that way. I was just like, I just want to be doing whatever people think is cool at the time. That's it.
Yeah.
And I was getting my identity with like how people were reacting to the way that I was pretending to be. And that's just like how I was for years. So you're so right. Like it is easy to feed that demon. And I know that because I have been doing it for like almost a decade. And I just like have decided like, that's not what I'm doing anymore.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
I do feel like sincerity. I love bringing up this Chris Cornell quote because Soundgarden's my all-time favorite band. But he did an interview where he talked about he said sincerity is the new punk rock.
Absolutely,
so,
yeah.
And I feel that is
that's
really
amazing. Just like that, just like landed on me.
Oh, really?
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's like one of my favorite quotes of all time. But I do feel like that's starting to resonate more and more with so many people.
1,000,000%.
So like my brother's a very good case study. I don't know if you follow my brother on TikTok.
Yeah.
But you know, like he did music. He's a fantastic musician.
Yeah.
But like when he started posting about content about the things he cared the most, like bird watching. He loves to bird watch. But somewhere through like his bird watching content, people got a glimpse of his sincerity.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that just like absolutely exploded. You know, like, and I mean, my brother has 2 dream jobs. He tours in a famous rock band. Yeah. And he's a TikTok famous bird watcher. But like his sincerity, and I think that's one thing that people are really grasping for these days. Is like people that are sincere.
Yeah.
And it's super easy to like, we talk about trend chasing a
Yeah.
lot on this podcast because it's so easy to just jump into trend chasing.
So easy.
So
like me, like I listen to the new Music Friday playlist on Spotify for educational reasons. Every single week I listen to it. And then I listen to, right after that, I listen to my release radar, which is like what the artists that I like are putting out.
Okay.
And I'm just like, this could not be more different. Because I crave that. I crave people telling the truth. I crave people telling their stories in like a really genuine way. And that just like is not happening in mainstream music. And again, I hate to sound jaded because like Post Malone is fun to listen to. I definitely am like bopping around to Post Malone songs that mean nothing.
Right.
And like learning all of Doja Cat's raps. Like I am doing that.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm determined to enjoy myself. And that is about having fun, and that's like totally fine, and that's why people like it.
Yeah.
But when I'm like, I would like to hear a song, I'm not going to Post Malone's Spotify page. I'm not doing that. So I'm going to the artists that I really like, whose songwriting inspires me and who are being very vulnerable and sincere. But I feel like you can have both. Like music is like, it's fine if a song is just fun.
Yeah.
Like Safety Dance is about nothing, but I love that song. If it comes on at a wedding, clear the floor. Like I'm partying. And like that can be said for like the freaking Cha Cha Slide or like the Whip Nene song.
Yeah.
Those are fun. And it's like, it's fine for a song to just be fun.
Yeah.
Totally fine. I mean, I think it should be just as okay with us for music to mean everything as it is for music to mean nothing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like then you can have like the full spectrum of creativity and you can have a really good time and like not take stuff too seriously, but you can also be like, this is it's the difference between this is a tune and this is a song.
Right.
And I have been, and like, that's a really British thing to be like, this is a tune. But like, but that's like a really important distinction in my brain. Like, are we writing a tune right now? Or are we writing a song? Like, are the lyrics a big deal right now? Or are we just like looking for a hook so we can party a little bit? Because I'm fine with both of them. And I feel like, especially as young songwriters, you have to be okay with both. But like, I feel like you can also be sincere in like a fun way. Like there's a song that my friend Natalie is putting out called Love Me Back to Life. And it's about, it's a party. Like it's so fun. Horns, crazy guitar. And like, obviously she's like killing it on the piano because that's what she's a master at. And it's amazing. But the verses are literally about like being saved and feeling absolutely no different.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's so real. Like that's so serious. And then like the rest of the song is just like crying out for like God to reveal himself to you. That's so serious. But the music is a party.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's amazing. And Jack Antonoff has this thing that he has said, I may have said this on the last time I talked to you because I'm always saying this, but he's like, you know, the verses are for me, but the chorus is for everybody else. And I'm just like,
because I bring home with me really hard.
Yes, because it's true. Like there can be parts of the song that only make sense to you that will resonate to other people because there's nothing new under the sun. We are all going through the exact same stuff.
Yeah.
But then there can be like that really hooky moment that like still means a lot to you, but is like a party
right.
for everybody else. Like Mr. Brightside, I'm sure that was a very heartbreaking experience for the Killers.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody in the Killers had like a very serious moment where they were like, well, I guess I just have to be fine, even though this guy is like whisking away my girlfriend.
Right.
And I'm sad and I'm heartbroken. But but like every white person everywhere, when they hear Mr. Brightside, they're like, this is my jam.
Yeah, like flipping
again,
tables.
clear the floor.
Yeah.
So, but that meant something to that person. So I'm just like, you have to be open to the full spectrum of it. You have to be fine with it meaning nothing. You have to be fine with it being kind of stupid, maybe. You have to be fine with it being like really heavy and emotional and like and super simple or super complicated. Like you just have to be fine and open with everything. If you're a writer, I think if you're an artist, you can draw your box and you can stay in that box if you want to. So you kind of have that autonomy, especially if you're an indie artist. But I think for a writer, you have to be fine with it meaning so much and it meaning nothing.
Yeah, I think
you have to be okay with both of those things.
I think that's really well put. Sometimes we talk about the best analogy I've come up with is like a musical diet almost.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know, potato chips are great.
Yeah.
They're a great snack. If you eat potato chips every day for like a month,
you will die.
Yeah, so like,
your nutrition will go down.
Yeah, so like, you know, like the Doja Cat and the stuff on that. I will defend one Post Malone song called The Internet. Have you heard that song?
No. Is it new? Or is it
it's
old?
It's on
is it on his very first
one?
one?
It's on Hollywood is Bleeding.
Oh, okay. That was a good record.
Yeah.
That record was good.
This whole song's like 45 seconds. And it's about how horrible the internet is.
Period.
And it's like, oh my gosh. It is like, and it's like orchestra and all this stuff.
Oh, amazing.
That is,
I also, on that record, by the way, I was really into that record. That was like my going to the gym record for a very long time before there were like no gyms. And we were just like doing resistance bands in our living room. But I would go into the Belmont gym and I would listen to the song they did with Ozzy, "Won't you take what you want from me?" And I was like, this man's got Ozzy Osbourne singing a pop melody. I'm freaking out. And it was so good. But that record is good. Honestly, defend that whole record because that record is good. But that song, I haven't heard it, I don't think. Or maybe in a while. Yeah. Yes, please send it to me.
But yeah, like, you know, it's the same thing with music. Like, cheap stuff's great. It's fun. It's awesome. Like, those are things. But like, as far as like what you put in your ears, you need something, you know, you just need to be well rounded.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
So,
I think especially as a writer.
Yeah. Writer, musician, I think all of those things, you know, I think you just need.
That was the stool, guys. I wasn't screaming. Also kind of sounds like a small animal.
Yeah, it did.
That needs help.
I miss my cats.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I like miss my baby more, but I had
good thing you said that.
It's really weird. Like, I FaceTime Lana every day. Yeah. Like, I've been here.
Oh my gosh, so sweet.
Yeah, and then, but like, I never thought I'd miss my cats this much. I had a dream about my cats last night.
Stop. No, you didn't. You actually have a human, beautiful baby girl child at your house.
Oh, yeah.
And you had a dream about your cat.
I haven't seen
I just want to clear
cats.
that up.
I've seen pictures of my kids. Since I've seen pictures of my cats.
But I haven't seen pictures of my cats. Yeah. I haven't FaceTimed my cat, so I miss my cat.
I actually almost texted Lane. I was like, will you please send me a picture of my
Thank you
cats?
for your honesty. I really appreciate that.
I would like to talk a little bit about what a pitch meeting looks like, especially in contemporary Christian music.
Okay, so it can definitely look different in a lot of different environments, right? So in like your standard like record label pitch meeting, you're just usually sitting in like a boardroom with just everybody important plus the artist and be like, this is the song, would you like to cut it? And sometimes they don't, and it's mortifying. But in these very beautiful, casual, community-based pitch meeting type environments that I have been in, I mean, like we have dinner before, and it's called Writes and Bites, the thing that I go to, because we bite the food and then we write the song. You know what I'm saying? Are you following? Are you in, Keegan?
I like it.
But it's a really, really good. It's a really good time. So we all eat together. You know, actual communion, breaking bread to kind of like get the ball rolling on the relationship. Because sometimes you just like show up to your right and you're like, I don't know who this person is. I don't know. And sometimes you walk in and you're like, this person is my best friend. We're going to write all the time forever now. And then sometimes you walk in and you're like, I did not make an impact on this person at all. And I'm very upset because they were not giving me anything. Yeah. And I feel like I really try to come into a room and like make the person feel welcome in their own space to like be themselves authentically. And sometimes the person that people are, that was weird to say, the person that people are, weird. I'm like going through a lot saying that sentence. The person that people are. That doesn't sound like a real sentence. I'm literally stuck.
I'm hung up on it.
Anyway, the person that people are is sometimes
the person
really
that someone
the
is.
Person that someone is.
There
Thank you, education. Oh my gosh, the person that someone is. Wow. That is definitely the more correct way to say that. Sometimes the person that someone is not somebody that I vibe with, but I want to make sure that they feel comfortable enough, because you can't create when you're pretending to be another person. Isn't that crazy? I literally felt like I couldn't breathe for a second.
I was hung up on
I was somewhere else.
Yeah,
I was somewhere else. That's the blooper. That's for after. That's
B-roll.
for after the credits.
This is good B-roll.
Oh my God. I forgot what English was as a language.
Okay.
I forgot who I was as a person.
I have a side story about that.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I was I had a interview fall through today.
Boo.
Yeah, it's fine. We rescheduled, but I ended up going out. My friends Justin and Sydney live out here, and I went out and we got some dinner before this interview.
Where did you go?
Tenfold. They live over in Donaldson.
Oh, Tenfold and Donaldson. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it was really great. But like, I've known them for years, and I was telling the story, and I forgot Justin's name.
That's actually so funny.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Dad brain.
Yeah.
I forget people's names. I said your name, and I was like, is that his name? Wouldn't that be so embarrassing if I said not his name? But I know you very well. I know your name. But I said your name, and I was like, that's not his name. Sometimes your brain just breaks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Keegan is your name.
It is my name.
Okay, thank God.
I am. This is not a figment.
This is not. I honestly felt like I was somewhere else. I felt like I was in a different place. Okay. Anyway, what I was saying was
pitch meetings.
Pitch meetings are crazy, and I much prefer the ones that I have been a part of recently, where we're just eating, and writing a song to like the very formal like record label boardroom ones that I've also been in that are not as fun. So in these Writes and Bites situations, the artist is there. They pop their head into the room, and it's usually like we're in this very big studio space that has multiple rooms. So there's like a big tracking room, and then there are several like writers' rooms with like demo type setups. And that's like the vibes are really good, and like the people are really fun, and it's great. So then the artists and like recently when we were writing for Goatee, it was just their A&R team that came in and was like, we really like this for this person, but obviously their roster is pretty extensive. So like if we ended up with something, because you're always serving the song, right? So you might end up with something that's not particularly the brief for the specific artist that was brought in, right? Yeah. If you're serving the song, you're just going to end up with whatever your best is. And we, like recently the one that we did for Goatee was, I think, like the most fun one that I've ever done. I've done like a lot of them with this company. And it was great because I just decided I'm just going to have a good time, and I'm going to say, what I mean to say, but also try to push it in this avenue of like working for the specific artist. And so then at the end of it, and these things are like in the evening. So like at like 10:30 PM, I'm like fighting to stay awake because I'm, again, as I said before, 84 years old. And, but we're all out there, we're playing it on the speakers in like the main area, and the artist is there, and all the other writers are there as well. So it's like, you're getting a lot of different ears on it. And we're all just listening to it. And then, the artist doesn't give any feedback in that moment. They tell the administrative head people of We Rock, hey, I really liked that song and I want to hop in. And the cool thing about it is it's only a start. It's only a song start, because the artist wants to get in. Like, I've had a lot of songs that have been optioned from those situations, and the artist wants to get in there and like say like, oh, this is maybe not what I would say, or this is what I would do here, and like do their artistry thing on the song. And but sometimes they're like, I will take it as it is. This is beautiful. Let's go. Because sometimes you do get a full song out of those situations. So every time is different, which is really exciting for me. And that's not how pitch meetings typically go. Okay. It's like, we wrote this entire song. Do you want to cut it? And then you like, in all the ones that I've been a part of, the answer has been no, which is very disheartening. But that's how it goes. Right. I mean, it's so hard to like go into a situation where like, this is our song, and you can't anticipate at all what people are going to think, because you don't know what frame of mind they're in even that day. Or sometimes you don't have a lot of information on the artist. You just are like, I think their voice would sound good, or I have connections with their team, so I'm just going to try to pitch it to this person. Right. And like, you just like, you can't know. Like, it's really a crapshoot either way.
Do they typically offer feedback in those sort of situations?
In those sort of situations, sometimes, like, I'd say this, like, I've been in a million. I've been in maybe 2 actual ones. And then there were several where I wasn't there for the pitch meeting, but I did write on the song. Yeah. And so sometimes they'll be like, yeah, this is the reason why we don't. A lot of the people are very nice. You know, they're like, this is the reason why it's not right for us. But it's usually not like, we would take it if you did this, this, and this. It's usually like, no, like, this is not for us, so we're going to move on to other choices. Wow. Because the music industry moves so fast. I was part of a situation recently where I was writing a theme song for a show. And the music supervisor got back to me and was like, hey, we really like it. Yours was the one that we liked the most out of all the ones that we received. So we want you to try again with this in mind. And that never happens. Wow. And then we ended up not landing it anyway. But it was so cool to get like an opportunity to try again. Yeah, that's really cool. Because that literally never happens. Like, because usually it's, yeah, we don't want this. And then the song basically ceases to exist. And, you know, I am very adamant about my catalog. Like, I always know what I have. I always know what I'm missing. Like, if somebody asks for something, like if any of the publishers that I have relationships with contact me and are like, we need this for a sync placement, or we need this for an artist, and I don't have it, I'm like, I got to go next week and write a song like this so I have it for next time. Yeah. So, I mean, I think especially if you are a songwriter who, I mean, like, I don't have a pub deal. I'm not signed anywhere as a writer. And I have my hand in a lot of different genres. I feel like if that's your situation, and that is the situation of a lot of people, if you're a writer not an artist, it's usually like you don't have a specialty. Like, I'm just like, I'll write with anybody. I'll do whatever. I listen to all kinds of music. I'm from the country. I don't write country a lot, but I'm from there. I have a lot of situational things to add. So I feel like you kind of have to have your hand in a lot of different things. And I'm always trying to make sure that my catalog is very large, so that when I am in a pitch meeting situation, like the former scary one or the chill one that I like more, I know in my head, like, I have a song like that and here it is. That's really cool. And I feel like it's definitely good to be prepared in those moments. But I definitely think, like, I would like for there to be more of a precedent for people to be like, you know, there were things that I liked about this song, and if it was tweaked a bit, I think it would be perfect. And you have 48 hours and just make it do that. Yeah. But like, people want to wait for things, really. And it sucks, because then I feel like you really miss out on a lot of things that could be really cool.
Yeah, it's also interesting to me because I thrive on feedback. Yeah. Like, if I screwed up something, or I did something that wasn't it. Sure. Like, just telling me no is giving me nothing more. Yeah, I need more information.
Yeah, there's nowhere for you to go from that.
Yeah, you can't correct anything. So, that's interesting to me. I was drawing a lot of corollaries between, like, being a gigging songwriter and just being a freelance gigging musician. Like, you know, like, I'm a drummer. Like, I'm not a country drummer. Yeah. Well, I will be if you pay me enough.
Yeah,
you know, like,
absolutely.
I'll play country drums. I'll play, like, whatever you need me to play. Because, like, so being stylistically versatile is just, especially in the beginning, until you find your concrete, your concrete genre is I think it's very valuable.
Absolutely.
Every facet, even like songwriting and music too. So
just like, don't be closed off to anything. Right. I feel like just like try it. And if you make a fool of yourself and you're not good at it, then like, you can either decide that you don't want to do that again, or you can decide that you like need to get better at it and like listen to a podcast or read a book have coffee with somebody who's really experienced. I mean, like, there are things that you can do to build your skill set, or you can just straight up decide that you don't want to take country rights, or you don't want to take, like, I've decided I don't need to be in the room with a hip hop artist. I'm not going to be like functional in that room. I'm not going to have anything to add. Yeah. I'm just not. And it feels cringy to me. So I'm just like not going to be that way for what is the word? Oh, a secular hip hop writer. Yeah. Because typically it's like very vulgar, which I don't do. Mm-hmm. And also like very much about like booties, and I like don't want to talk about booties really. Not a big fan of talking about them. But I do, but like again, in CCM, I've written with a lot of people that are more hip hop-ish. Mm-hmm. There's an artist that I write with a lot named Sean B, and he's with We Rock, and he is awesome, and he has really good flow, and he's like really cool. Like he has a very cool like way of building music, and he has a very firm artist identity. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I can vibe with that. And so it's like, it also like very much depends on the person. Yeah. But there are certain things that even I, who have spoken this entire time about like being very open to a lot of things, there are things that I've decided that I'm not good at and that I don't enjoy doing. And as it happens, those things do not present themselves to me as opportunities because of the circles that I run in, and also just because I don't like go seeking that, right? So those are not the reputations and the relationships that I have. Yeah. But I feel like, go and try it once, which I have. I've been in a lot of hip hop rooms. It's been very embarrassing for me. And I just have been like, I don't want to do that anymore, actually. Yeah. And I feel like that's fine too. But I feel like there's no harm in like trying it once, and then you can, go from there.
I think it's worth noting that versatility does have its limits.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and keeping your sincerity is one, and we, the overarching theme so far has been like being sincere and stuff. So if you're in a room where you're like, there's no possible way that I can be sincere, but it's also worth noting that you did give it a shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's one thing we talked about in that workshop yesterday, and in a number of the other podcasts.
It really impacted you. I'm so glad you got to go to that.
It was career defining. It really was. He also demystified a crazy amount of music production,
which is great to feel like you're like, oh, that's like the best. I love that.
What was crazy to me was he, not to get too off the rails in this workshop yesterday, but he's played on everybody's music.
Sure, so
And one of the things he did yesterday was break down track by track tunes he's worked on.
Oh, so that's so great.
Yeah, so we're listening to this Celine Dion tune. He's like, I did the drums and I did the synth patches for this. I was like, okay, cool. My buddy Mike does electronic music, something, and oh man. So I was like, what kind of synth are you using? I think it's going to be like some crazy plug-in. He's like, oh no, this is a stock Logic synth.
Amazing.
I was
Thank you so much.
I didn't do anything to it. I just found a patch and that's it.
And I liked it, and it worked.
Yeah, he was talking about mics. He's like, oh yeah, it's like an $80 mic I used on my kick drum. It's just like on an Ed Sheeran top. Like, what?
You don't have to go crazy hard. I feel like that is so important to note. Like, even this. I mean, like, this is a decent mic. That's a decent mic. Your Focusrite is like really affordable, but does a great job. Yeah. And like your phone camera even is like kind of going off. Right. I bet we look amazing.
It's working better than my better camera.
I'm just saying, I mean, like, you don't have to go crazy. Yeah. About like the stuff that you have or whatever. Like, I thought for my demo setup, I had to have like crazy things. And I'm just like, first of all, how often am I actually like sitting here and like doing a full track? Almost never. Because I'm usually like the lyric melody person in the room. I'm not doing the track. It's not me. Do I wish that I was like a hot girl who could produce? Yes. But that's just like that's not my path. Yeah. And it's just not. But I know plenty of hot girls who produce, so I just go to them and I support them. But you don't have to go all out. You don't have to go crazy. Totally. You really don't.
I do think like this Focusrite, I think just these in general are just absolutely necessary.
Yes.
Like 100%. If you want to do music at all,
you need to have one.
Get a Focusrite 2i.
And I have one, and it's amazing.
I distinctly remember you posted on Facebook like, "Hey guys, I need
a cloud lifter."
Yeah, and I need, but I already have or something like I have a Focusrite, but I need such and such and such. And then Joe commented,
he was like, "You don't need anything else," and I was like, "Bro, this mic is so quiet. If you don't have the gain, and like for like podcast stuff, it's like it's different, obviously, but like for the stuff I was trying to do, I was like, I'm literally screaming into this, and if I have to turn the gain up so loud it's clipping, and I'm just like whispering into it. Right. Anyway, this is gear talk, but I was like, you're silly. I don't understand what you mean. And then my aunt Emily, shout out to Emily, she like just bought me one. She was like, here you go.
Oh, that's great. I
was like, you don't even know what this is. God, I love you so much.
I do need to get a cloud lifter.
It's a real thing. It helps with this mic a ton.
This has the air function on it.
Yeah,
to get in the weeds,
which is great. Which is great for podcasting for sure, and like talking. I just like do a lot of top lining, was just writing to track. And so I had to do my vocal over that. And I had like an Audio-Technica mic that was working fine. But I just really wanted this one, mostly because I don't have like an ISO booth type thing. The isolation on this mic is crazy good. And also like I am working out of my bedroom, which is already a really small space. So just like I don't need a ton, like the Audio-Technica, I needed like a ton of stuff on the stand to like be able to like sit. It's like condenser, so it has to like be in a certain position. It just like wasn't working. I was
like,
just,
if a plane goes overhead, you've
yes,
got to bleed.
you can freaking hear it. And I was like, I live in a city, like there are cars going by my window all the time. I was just like, I need a mic that is that works for my situation, and I feel like this is a great one. And I also just like take this guy off of it and mic for our audio only listeners, I'm talking about the little, what is this called, Keegan?
Oh my God.
The little hat that it wears.
The screen.
The little guy that it wears, the little hat that it wears on its little head. I just take that off, and then you can track a guitar, you can do whatever. Yeah. So it's actually a very versatile mic, but and like this is maybe the most expensive thing that I own, and it was a gift from my dad. Shout out to you, Chuck. But also it's like not that expensive for a mic. Yeah. And it's really durable and it'll last you forever. And I feel like investing in things that like aren't crazy. Like, could I buy? I mean, Billie Eilish uses this mic, and it's like a normal person can afford it. Yeah. So I'm like, maybe reevaluate. And she's like in a bedroom, sitting on a bed. She's not in a studio typically. Like for When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go, which is a No Skips album for me. The album is so good. I love Billie. I really do. She's just sitting in her bedroom on her bed holding this microphone. Right. And I'm like, but how is it so good? And it's because Phineas is really talented. Right. But also because you don't need something crazy to capture something that's already really good. Right. And I just think just like chill out a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point. We've talked a lot about on this podcast of just like being good at your craft is going to supersede so many other things. Yes, absolutely. Like content creation, all that stuff. Those things are good, but like there will be no excuse for being good at your craft. Yeah. Like production quality is awesome, but if you're not making good music, I think it doesn't really matter. So.
It doesn't matter at all how you're capturing it if it's bad.
I would like to ask you, in your writing sessions, do you have one off the top of the head that you would consider the most notably weird?
Yes, I absolutely would. Okay, so for at Belmont, right, you get assigned, in the songwriting program, you get assigned co-writes. My friend Natalie would also say that this is her weirdest co-write situation because we were both together and we were going to this guy's house to write for an assignment. And it was in this really bougie neighborhood, and we were like crazy. It was at his parents' house. It was like the basement of his parents' house. I mean, we're in college. That's normal. That's not weird. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, they kind of gave me the basement to kind of deck out as a studio. And I was like, sick, amazing. And we walk in to, he's like, come in through this door. Like, this is like, you walk right into the basement. You don't have to go through the house. And I was like, sick. So we walk in, and there's all these lights everywhere and like an actual disco ball in the room. Okay. And it's like, he's like blasting music already. And I am coming in, and I'm like overwhelmed immediately. And then we sit, and the disco ball is still on, and so this is the music, and he's trying to talk, and I'm like, this is not great. And so then he like leaves, and Natalie and he like goes, he's like, I go to the restroom, and then I'm gonna make a call. And we were like sick. He was like, you guys get settled. And I was like, I literally can't hear what you're saying. So Natalie and I, who are already really good friends at this point, this is like years and years ago, we're like, what are we gonna do? Like, this is such a weird vibe. And I don't remember exactly what I did, but I remember being like, hey, sorry, I can't really hear you. And he was like, oh, right. And he turns off the music and the disco ball and the lights, and everything's like dead quiet all of a sudden. So it's like you're walking into basically like a rave. Yeah. And then I was like, and basically I was really just asking him to turn it down. Like, I didn't even make a request. I just basically said like, sorry, I can't really hear you. Right. And then everything is out immediately. Oof. And then it's just purple in there. Like the disco ball is gone, and then the lights are just purple. We're all purple people, and I'm like, this is so weird. And we ended up getting like a really good song out of it because Natalie had brought in a pretty good song, like a good like idea, and so we just like riffed off from that or whatever. But it was the environment was so crazy, and it was like we're in this like really wealthy neighborhood. So I had no expectation at all. I was like, oh, it's probably just like be a really nice room.
Right.
But I literally walked into like the craziest basement I've ever been in my life.
Yeah.
So that was the most weird. I've also been in a lot of sessions where like the artist will come in and like say, this is what I want the song to sound like, and then leave.
All right.
And that just feels like a weird vibe to me because I'm like, dude, because if it's me and I'm the artist, like I want to be, and I'm also a songwriter, so that's different.
Yeah.
But like, I want to be there at least, even if I'm not like writing the song, like like per your deal and per my publishing agreement that I'm going to sign, you're probably going to get writer credit on it for being the artist.
Yeah.
Which is like, I mean, I have my own opinions about that, but that's the standard and like, it's fine.
Yeah.
But like what your name is going to be on it. Like, don't you want to know? Like,
yeah.
And you're going to be asked in interviews, like, the process of making the songs. Like, don't you want to know, like, what the process was? But they were just out there, like, doing their thing in the main area. And I was just like, this is so strange. So there was that as well. Usually it's pretty normal. Mm-hmm. But I had a meeting recently that was really weird where it was with a creative collective or something. And it was really just a communication issue. Mm-hmm. Like they thought that I was a producer and I wasn't. And there was like all of these like different things that they were asking me, like assuming that I would know. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And they thought the whole time that I like built tracks and I didn't. So that was like really terrible.
Oh no.
And I thought that maybe I would die of embarrassment because they were talking to me about like, and like, obviously like there were basic questions that I could answer. Mm-hmm. And like, I have mic preferences and like a DAW that I prefer or whatever. But like past that, they're like, so like, what are some tracks you've worked on? And I was showing them stuff that I had written on, and they're like, you made this track? And I was like, no. And they thought that I was, and they were like, oh, well, can you show me like some tracks that you've made? And I was like, oh, I'm not really a track person. And they're like, that's literally why you're here.
Uh-oh.
It's because I thought you were, and I was like, that's somebody told you wrong because I am not at all. So it was like, yeah, it was really embarrassing. So mostly they were just like embarrassing stories of like me not communicating well or like other people communicating not good on my behalf or whatever.
Right.
But that was probably the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me, where I showed him, he's thinking she made this track because he thinks I'm a producer. And I'm like, no, I didn't make this.
Oh no.
I literally thought I was going to die. It was so terrible.
Well, I'm glad it got cleared up though. So
it did. Basically, it was just like I'm gonna go, I guess, because I'm not really who you thought I was. So that was terrible. Yeah. But I was like, at least I can drive away, and I don't ever have to see this person again for the rest of my life. So there have been situations like that. But
what percentage of your job would you say is just like helping get the best out of the artist?
Ooh, a very high percentage. I think it varies based on who I'm with. But there are a lot of situations where I'm just like, my false self, the lowest version of myself is saying, if you would just do better, then we could all like go eat lunch. But the highest version of myself is saying they have some sort of block creatively, or they are feeling insecure in themselves about what they can do, or they just think that they're doing the best that they can. And I don't believe that. Like, I believe that they have more in them than they're letting on. And like I said, it does depend on what I'm doing, but on who I'm with. But I would say it's a pretty high percentage. I think as an artist, especially if you have representation, especially if you have a marketing department who's breathing down your neck about establishing a brand, it's really hard for you to like let go and be creative.
Totally.
And there are a lot of artists that I get in with, and I'm just like, somebody has told you who you are before you could decide for yourself.
Oh man. And
it's heartbreaking to see that. I've known who I am for a very long time, and nobody ever had to tell me. So I don't so much sympathize with that, but I am compassionate towards people like that, because it is a huge block on your creativity to be trying to create something that fits with the idea of you that somebody else is trying to perpetuate on your behalf.
Totally.
Like, it's so convoluted. Especially, I mean, I've been in with a lot of artists who had like really terrible management situations where their manager wanted them to be a certain way and the artist felt like they were stuck because they were like, well, I mean, they're paying me. This is like my life. This is my life. This is my job right now.
Right.
Like, this is the deal that I'm in. I did not think it would be this way. And so in those situations, there's not a lot that I can do. Like, you have to do what you have to do. But I always want to be like, is this something that you would say?
Yeah.
You know, because there are ways that you can have both. Like, you can be like, this is something that I would say, me genuinely. And also, it fits with like the trend or the brand that I'm trying to perpetuate or whatever.
Right.
Like, there are ways that we can check all those boxes. It just might be a little bit harder. And so those are the situations where I'm like really pushing the artist, like, listen, like, this is something that I would say. I think like I'll like throw a line out and I'm like, this is something that I would say. Is this something that you would say? And is it true to what you're trying to present to your audience?
Yeah.
And sometimes and a lot of times I'm like, okay, but this is better. Like, this is a better line.
Yeah.
But it might not be true to the artist. It might not be true to like the brand that they're trying to build. So it's hard because you have to ride that line. You have to be like, this literally is not about me at all. Which is a hard thought for me and people like me, especially when I'm like, this is a better line and I know that it is.
Yeah.
And when like, just like accepting the fact that like, you might not be wrong. Like, you might be right. Like, that line might be better, but it's not right for this song or this situation. And like having like the wherewithal and the awareness to be like, okay, like, it means nothing about me. Because, you know, you can start to like spiral really quickly. Like, oh, these people don't think I'm a good songwriter. They think I'm weird because this line didn't work. Like, it's really easy to spiral. Yeah. But I just have to remind myself that like, you chose to be a songwriter, so it's not about you or what you think is best. And that's kind of a relief sometimes. But I don't know. I mean, like I keep saying, it so much depends on the artist and their situation. Like, it depends on their personality, but also like it also depends on their specific situation within their deal or within their marketing strategy, within their management. It has a lot to do with that as well. Totally. So I feel like I'm always just trying to bring my best to the situation, and do whatever I can do to contribute to the artist's vision. So I feel like I do better when I know the person really well. Like, the first time that I write with somebody usually doesn't go as well, in my opinion, as like the second or third time that I write with them. Yeah. Just because I don't really have a grasp on their thing yet. But that's why I'm just like always trying to write with people again and again and again. Like, I don't ever like, I try really hard not to lose touch with people. That's great. I'm just like, I want to build on this relationship. Like, the better we know each other, the better we're going to write. And then a lot of people have a hard time writing with people that they know really well. But then you just like get a buddy. And there are a lot of songwriting relationships that have turned more into friendships for me than they have music relationships. That's really cool. Which are great. I mean, and I still have a great songwriting relationship with this person. But my friend Joel, we've written a lot of great songs together. We've gotten some placements for some sync stuff, and like we just really enjoy it. But like, it takes us hours to write a song because we're just like cutting up the entire time. And like now my fiance and I go over to him and his wife's house and we just like play games. We have like game nights and stuff. That's so cool. I'm just like, if I never write a song with you again, I mean, and like we're literally writing on Wednesday, so it's like, it's fine, guys, we're fine. But if I never write a song with you again, it's like so chill because now we're really good friends, and I value that over our like professional relationship with each other, just because that's sometimes how it works. But there are people that I write with that I'm like, I would never, not that I would never, but I don't see us having a relationship outside of our creative process that like we do. Coworkers more than friends. I mean, it's really like we're colleagues, right? Right. More than we're friends. Like, there are artists that like I love writing with, and I'm just like, I don't think that we would vibe outside of this situation. And it's like totally fine to have those boundaries. But I feel like, again, just like being open to it going either way is important.
I think that's great. It almost sounds like just coming from a music education background, like you sound like an educator when you walk into these rooms. Like, how do I get, like as a teacher, it's like, how do I get the most out of my students?
Sure.
Even to the point that they don't realize.
Yeah.
And that's what you're working around those limitations to come up with something creative. Like, yeah, it's totally like a teacher brain. So.
Well, I mean, I have, first of all, thank you. What an honor. Teachers are amazing. But I have found myself really, not that I am a teacher, like I don't have an educational degree, but I do like build curriculums and lead classes at the nonprofit that I work for. And I feel like that has really helped me to like be more present and really try to be more of a contributor in those rooms, because I know what it's like to be like the structure police and be the person who's in charge of like how things are set up, and all of that. So I appreciate that is coming off, because I think all of the parts of my life kind of inform each other. Yeah. And it's cool to like see another person perceive that. So thank you.
I think that's cool. And like, just because you don't have a teaching license does not make you not an educator.
Thank you so much for saying that, because I feel weird saying like I teach classes, because I'm like, I'm not a teacher.
No,
like,
you run a class, you're a teacher,
I'm a teacher. Well, dang.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. A teacher just told me I'm a teacher, so I guess I'm a teacher.
There you go.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It happened.
You are in my book anyway, for whatever, if that counts.
Thank you. It does count. It counts for so much.
I mean, I'm not technically a teacher anymore, because I'm not
once a teacher, always a teacher.
There we go. I mean, I teach private lessons, so that counts. I
Yes,
guess.
that is teaching.
Very cool. So one new and exciting thing, you just got a film and TV placement, correct?
I did. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say about it, but it is on a major streaming platform, and it did just get greenlit, so it's definitely happening. And the song's gonna be thank you for the applause.
There you go.
The song's gonna be in the season finale of the show twice, which is very exciting. So yeah, I mean, I have been really trying to get a placement for a long time. Film and TV or sync writing is such a difficult thing to do, but I love it so much. It's so fun. I mean, like you just get, the way that it goes is you just get a brief. Like you get a, basically it's like an assignment. It's like, okay, we need you to write a song that sounds like this, is about this. Sometimes they're even as specific as we want you to include these lyrics. We want it to be, they always usually say like, it usually is like they want it to be a female vocal. Which is great for me because I am a female vocalist.
There you go.
And
so did you sing on the tune?
I did.
Oh,
I did.
So
It's honestly amazing. And the song again, the song is about like summertime in like with your friends or whatever. And I'm like, I totally get that. But it's specifically like in the Hamptons.
Okay.
And I don't know anything about the Hamptons. I have never even been to the Hamptons. So like, I was just like, okay, I have to become a completely other person. And they did send us like the promo for the show. So that was helpful to have like some context and like some visuals. But they don't always do that. Like sync people, like they don't always do that. So sometimes it's like, okay, this is what the vibe is. And then like recently I was writing for Uber. And we wrote a tune and it was great. And then they sent us the spot and I was like, oh, this doesn't work at all.
Really?
So then we had to kind of start over. Or like sometimes you don't have time to start over and you're just like, okay, this is what we got. I don't know if this is going to work. But sometimes you don't have that and you just have to work off of like the least amount of information possible because a lot of times that's all that they can give you. And sometimes it's just like, but like, this is really quick, blah, blah, blah. Like it's like, a trailer type song, send. And we're like, what does that mean? There are a million trailers. And you just like, don't know how to think about that. So it's just like it's really exciting. It's really fast paced. And I really enjoy it, but I really enjoy it, but it's really difficult.
Really?
Just like, I am very thankful to have the relationships that I have in the sync world. But when I was first starting out, I was like, how do I even get into this? Like, I don't know who to pitch to. I don't know. And there are a lot of like websites and like internet communities that are dedicated to like figuring out how to pitch stuff to sync. Even like if you don't have a relationship with a pub house or a sync, licensing company or whatever, it can be really hard to break in there. So I'm really grateful for the relationships that I have. But I did work really hard to cultivate those relationships and to understand that world and all of that. And I am really thankful to Belmont as well, because there were classes that I took on stuff like that. So like I came out post grad, and even like out of those classes while I was still in college, like knowing what people are talking about. So I'm really grateful for that, but it can be really hard to break into. I'm really glad that I'm here, but I have been like busting it to get a placement since I've been here. Really? So it's taking me a few years, to really kind of get the formula. And I also kind of have this like sickness where I really want the song. Again, I'm really working on being okay with songs meaning nothing. Yeah. And sync songs sometimes mean absolutely nothing. Right. And I had a real problem with that when I first started. I was like, why can't this be a cool song? And the song that we got placed recently is a really cool song. And I'm really happy about it. But there are parts of it that I'm like, this is stupid, but it works. Right. And so I'm still working to be okay with that, but it's difficult because I just like really want stuff to be good. Yeah. And, a concept, wanting things to be good and well done. But I really do. Like, I want it to be a song. Yeah. And sometimes it's, again, like a song versus a tune. Sometimes it just has to be a tune, you know? Right. And so I'm still working with that. And I think that me being able to like gradually let go of the fact that like the song has to be really good or like it sucks and it's bad. It's either really good or it's terrible is like not true at all. Like it's totally a spectrum. So yeah, I think that is the biggest thing, is just like waiting, not making it mean that you suck, for like not making the fact that you have not gotten a placement yet mean that you suck, because that I have. Like there was a set of like Netflix movies that I wrote for like over and over and over again for years. I was pitching songs and like none of them landed. Oh, yeah. And I was like, this must mean that I'm terrible at this. I should go do something else. But that's not what it means. And I have all those songs still. They're still in my catalog. They still rock. I think they could still work for a lot of different things. Yeah. But it can be hard. Like rejection over and over again is really difficult. And I feel like in sync, in that world specifically, you get a lot of that. Because there are so many people populating that area. Right. So, yeah.
The pitch process, is it quite a bit different? So you just basically send it off and you get a yay or nay?
It's mostly that. I mean, I do a lot of my sync stuff through a publisher who's not my publisher, but is a publisher that I have a relationship with. And so they're the person pitching it. So I just send it to them. They send me the briefs. And so I have a middleman that I have a great relationship with and that I trust and that like I can openly communicate with. I'm hardly ever speaking directly to the music supervisor unless I'm at a sync camp, which are these things where the music supervisors will come in and say like, these are the things that we need. And then they'll check in about halfway through your writing it. And give notes, and then there's like a song share at the end. So like there are special situations like that I really enjoy. Like I love doing sync camps because it's that community aspect again, where it's a little bit more casual, and a little bit, but it's like these people are actively looking for songs. Like you're not just like throwing it out into the ether and hoping that it lands somewhere, but like these people are actually looking for songs. Yeah. So it usually does happen like digitally. Even like in those situations in the sync camps, like the supervisor will usually say like, yeah, that's amazing. But like, then, you know, who actually knows if it's going to get worked on. I did a song for a healthcare company, a few months ago, and we call them soups in the industry. So the soup was like, this is amazing. This is perfect. I like never heard back. So like, you really can never tell. You really can never tell, but it does usually happen like fully digitally. Like I'm hardly ever talking to the music supervisor myself. And neither is my publisher. They're usually just like sending an email. So it's not very personal at all.
I got you. You've talked about the relationships you've cultivated. How many of these would you say came from like going to school at Belmont, and how many would you say you actively cultivated? And this is like a 3-part question. Okay. So Belmont, not Belmont, and the ones that weren't on Belmont or weren't from Belmont, how would you say, or what are some things you feel were qualities that helped you cultivate those relationships?
I will answer them all at once and also probably miss some. I do think that my going to Belmont is a big part of the reason that I am where I am. Like Natalie, for example, who's the artist that I write with the very most, I met her at school.
Yeah.
And I don't know, and the people that I've met through her and through working with her management company and all of that, I don't know what relationships I would have without her. And then there are people, again, like just a bunch of people that I met at school whose like songs I'm on because we met at school and we wrote together in our songwriting classes. So my artist relationships, and a lot of my music adjacent friendships are all from Belmont.
Gotcha.
So I'm very thankful to that environment for all of those things. My label relationships that I've had were literally just because that company happened to be at the show that I was playing.
Really?
So a lot of and Nashville is really a lot like that. Like there are always people out like looking like Coopertheband was playing a show and the A&R guy at this label happened to see me, and that's when I got my arts development deal that turned into my biggest sync relationship.
Really?
So a lot of it was just like right place, right time, and the grace of God and just like the Holy Spirit just like really working all things together for my good, which I'm really thankful for. Praise the Lord. But I do think that and also like, I don't think that I would have like, I think the qualities, to answer the third part of the 3-part question, there's a lot of the qualities that I have I wouldn't have if I didn't go to Belmont. I didn't learn, like take actual classes on how to network and show up to these events that Belmont put on, like the pop hangs and like the different like panels that they have with music, like industry professionals to get advice and wisdom from people that have been in the industry for a really long time. I don't think that I would possess a lot of the qualities or the knowledge that I have about the industry. And also a lot of my industry knowledge, it doesn't really like, I don't often find myself in situations where I'm like, oh, it's good that I know this about copyright law. It just gives me the confidence to go into a room and like be like fully authentically myself and also like not really hold back anything because I'm like, I know that I can trust myself to know if I'm going to get like screwed over in this situation. And also like these people are not going to outsmart me. We're on the same level. Like these are my colleagues. I have a degree. I have experienced a lot in this industry. So like these people are not going to pull a fast one on me.
Yeah.
So I can just like be myself. Like I don't have to be on guard in the situation because I have the knowledge and the awareness of who I am and what I know.
Yeah.
So I can just show up as myself and I don't have to be on guard. So I feel like people tell me that I'm a really good hang. Which is what a Nashville term of like, you're fun to be around and we should write again because I like to be with you.
Right.
Which is big for artist rights. If like you want to be invited back to write with an artist, you got to be a good hang. I mean, and also like you should just like want to be a good hang as a person, I feel like.
Totally.
But I have said this a million times. I just like really want to have a good time. And so I'm going to make sure that I have a good time. And usually that means that other people are also having a good time.
That's great.
So, I think I hit all the parts of the question, but I am really thankful to Belmont for a lot of things, like the relationships, the knowledge, and also just like the like persona that I was able to build up that is still myself. It's just like there are certain things that you need to say, certain ways that you should be in order to kind of push past the barrier. And I feel like I have been able to strike a really good balance of like still being Phoebe, but also being like, okay, like I know how I need to be in this situation with these people. And I can still be myself, but there are things that are going to be traits that I already have that I can kind of turn the volume up on that are going to give me success in the situation.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
I got you. It sounds like you're armed with knowledge, and being armed with knowledge brings comfortability.
Yes, and confidence for sure.
So I think that's really great. I think that's very well put too. That's one thing. Honestly, that's a phone call that Lana and I had last night into this morning. Was like, I love Memphis. You know, it's like I'm from there. We're 30 seconds from my parents' house and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But everything, like from the workshop yesterday to the interviews I did to this interview now, being surrounded by so many like-minded people who are trying to accomplish the same things, you can't. It's just really hard to do that elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can do things online and stuff like that, and that's fine. But growing an audience line is a lot more difficult than just putting your body where the other people are.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's been like Lana and I are like, I guess we're going to Nashville like once a month now at least. so you will see more of us.
Oh,
so,
well, great. That's amazing.
I know, I'm kind of bummed. We talked about it. Like, I totally could have brought her up here this weekend.
It's all right.
We didn't think it would work, and then like I was talking to her today. I'm like, man, we totally could have made this work. So
You'll know for next time.
Yeah. So we now have plans made for next time.
Amazing. That's great.
I think that's very valuable. Last time we touched on some of the things you had talked about as far as feminism in the music industry go. I guess one thing I'd like to touch on right now is just, do you feel do you feel some aspects have changed? Do you feel some aspects have stayed the same? Or do you have any personal experiences since the last time that you and I spoke?
Shoot.
I know it's a very huge question.
It is a huge question. Most notably, like I said, towards the end of COVID, there were some things that fell through. And then since then, some other opportunities have arisen. And I have felt a lot of, first of all, the opportunities that I've been given have all been presented to me by men, all of them, which you can make that mean whatever you want.
Right.
But it's just the truth. And because of a lot of things, because of the fact that I'm young, because of the fact that I'm a woman, because of the fact that I think even more than the fact that I'm a young woman, I also have a lot of opinions, and I am very outspoken. I think most of the things that I thought were because I'm a woman are mostly because I'm a woman and I'm very outspoken.
Really?
I think that's really intimidating to a lot of people. So I think who knows if I was a guy, and I was the same amount of outspoken, if anything would be different. There's no way to know. And again, you can assume a lot of things. But I since the last time, I definitely think that it's more because I'm really confident and outspoken that I've gotten a lot of the pushback that I have. I think it has more to do with that than the fact that I happen to be a lady. And I also, I think that you can blame a lot of things on you can blame a lot of things for the fact that things aren't going your way. And I don't think that that's what I was doing on the last time that we spoke. I think I was just talking about in general, there's a different air around creative women than there is around creative men. There are different expectations. There are different rules. There are different, especially for female artists, definitely pushed to be really sexual. Even, a lot of women are totally fine with that, but a lot of women are not. They don't want it to be about their body. They want it to be about the art, and there's a pressure for it to not be. And then it's like a whole big thing. If Billie Eilish has gone through a lot of this where she's just I don't want to be sexualized. But then immediately when I was here's my body, there was so much backlash. She's like, this is why I didn't do this. Right. So it's just it's really not about modesty versus being very sexual. And sometimes it is about that. Yeah. And I personally there's a lot of sexual content, sexually explicit things that I just am not comfortable with just in myself. So I don't get involved with those things, and I don't feel comfortable writing or talking about them openly or anything like that. Right. But it really is less about what I think is okay. And it's more about why. Why is it a problem that we don't know what Billie Eilish's body looks like? Why do we want to know so bad? Yeah. And then why is it such an issue for us? Why is it so much about how she's built and less about the record that she made? You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
And so you can make that about the patriarchy, or you can make that about society. And you can blame men for a lot of things, which again is not what I feel like I was doing. But mostly things just didn't work out.
Right.
Mostly that was not the door I was supposed to walk through. And
Gotcha.
it was less about, and of course my immediate thing was like, well, it's because they're men and they don't understand me. But I was like, that thought is doing nothing for me. So I just decided to think new thoughts, which sounds really trite, but it's absolutely 100% what I did. I was just like,
Gotcha.
I'm just going to think new thoughts about this, because the thoughts that all men are out to get me was not doing anything for me progressing past this very difficult part of my life. So I had a situation recently, this is all leading up to this. I had a situation recently where I was speaking with a group of people about an opportunity, and I just felt like I was really being talked down to.
Really?
And I had to stop the person, and I had to say, do you know that I have a music business degree? And if you do know that, why are you talking to me like I don't know anything? And the person was really offended by me saying that to them. And I was just like, I didn't mean to upset you. I just wanted you to not waste your time saying things I already know. I didn't. And it was the fact that he felt so offended that made me think like, oh, you definitely were being prejudiced against me because you just got called out on it and you're upset. If you were doing that on accident, I thought I just knocked this over. If you were doing that on accident, then you wouldn't have been so upset, I feel like. If you were like, oh man, I didn't mean to make you feel that way, let's move on, like a grown person would do, then it would be fine. And then I've had a lot of people, again, more because I'm so outspoken, I said, I've been like really busting it for 5 years. I like really want something to happen. And the person said to me, well, you've been here for 5 years. You basically just got to town. And I was like, whether that's true or not, what purpose does it serve for you to say that to me? Right. And I also think again, like, yes, I'm a woman. Yes, there are expectations around women, but I'm also young. People take advantage of young people. People take advantage of young women a lot.
Yeah.
And people take advantage of people who... or people are intimidated by people who are really outspoken. So I think there are a lot of, just personally for me, I could blame the patriarchy for a lot of things that have happened to me in my life. But that's not an action step. Like that doesn't help me get anywhere. So I think the real issue with modern feminism and what it has become is that it's just useless.
Really?
I mean, it's just like the way society is set up is the reason for this happening to me. And I have just realized that like that could very well be true. A lot of times it is. But what are you going to do about it, girl?
Totally.
Like, I mean, it sucks that it's this way. It really does. And I want to change it just as much as you do.
Right.
But what are we going to do? I mean, it's like completely useless to like tweet like all men are bad, men suck, like blah, blah, blah. It might make you feel good for a second. And maybe that's what you need, girl. Go ahead and do that. But you have to know that that is a means to absolutely no end. That's not going to do anything for you. Like if you feel like as a woman, you are being looked down upon in the communities that you're in, get out or say something like that. I mean, like, and it's so hard. Like, it's so hard, especially as a young woman, to feel like you can. And I have been in a lot of really uncomfortable situations that I didn't feel like I could get out of because I was younger. And I was like, these people are giving me an awesome opportunity. Like, I can't speak my mind right now. And that's why I felt like I was getting taken advantage of. Right. I mean, like, the only person that I can control is me, right? So I can only do what I can do. So if it's my responsibility if I, as a feminist, as a person who loves women and want to see them succeed, I need to say something. Yeah. If I am in a situation where I feel like a man or anybody is talking down to me because I'm a woman or because I'm young, because they're assuming that I'm unintelligent or anything like that. As a woman who is a feminist and wants to see women succeed, if I feel like I have something to say, it's my job. And as a Christian, it's my job to say this in a kind and God-honoring way, which is harder. It's a kind of the caveat of that does kind of take a lot of things out of my mouth sometimes. But it's my responsibility as a person who is outspoken to say what I think.
Right.
And that's what matters to me. And I think a lot of what modern feminism has turned into is just saying this sucks and then not doing anything about it,
Gotcha.
which I feel like is a big issue with a lot of different like social, political, economical circles. Is this is bad. And we would love to talk about how bad it is and write articles about how bad it is, but we're not writing legislation or taking any kind of actions to make it less bad.
Right.
To like decrease the amount that the world sucks. We're not doing that.
Right.
So I feel like, I guess the biggest thing that's changed since the last time that I spoke to you is nothing has changed about how fired up I am about how like women are incredible and they have amazing things to say, and God created us to bring life into the world, literally and physically, but also like women are about giving life to things, to ideas, to other people. They're about, I mean, like, I'm sure you think all of these things about your wife, like after she's been a mother. I'm sure you're just like, you are amazing. Like you're a goddess. This is crazy. And,
Totally.
and like, even like, I mean, I don't have children yet and I'm excited for that part of my life, but also like as a woman, it's in my DNA to give life to things. It is give life to ideas, to create, to contribute, to commit to being all of those things, to like being all of the things that a woman is and like embodying that. Like that's my responsibility. And I've just decided that it's way more useful for me to like put action to those things instead of just like screaming into the void.
Gotcha.
Which I feel like is what a lot of modern feminism is right now.
Gotcha.
So yeah, those are the things that have changed. I'm still fired up about it. I just have different actions to accompany those thoughts now.
Yeah, I think that's very well put, because I think in a lot of situations, blame can feel like action.
Absolutely. And it does like release a certain amount of tension in you. So I'm not saying that it's invaluable in that way, but I just think in terms of progress, it doesn't do a lot for us.
Right. Like concrete steps.
Yeah, absolutely.
I totally see where you're coming from, especially like I said, blame feels like action a lot of times, but at some point, like we know what's wrong. Let's take the steps.
Let's take a step. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I really appreciate that. I think that's very well put, and it sounds like you are taking an active role in that. As you navigate your career and stuff like that.
Really trying to.
Well, it sounds like you're doing an amazing job.
Well, thank you very much.
I've not been in the room with you, but I think you're doing a great job.
Well, you're in the room with me right now.
Well, in the writer's room.
Right. Sure.
But no, that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, well, thank you.
I said it. I said fantastic.
You honestly, Keegan, love you so much, but you've said it so many times. And I've said literally so many times, we just need to be who we are.
I've literally said fantastic.
I've literally said that's fantastic so many times.
Well, that's absolutely fantastic. How about that? Well, Phoebe, this has been a blast.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to have caught up with you.
Yes, of course. Me too.
I'm so excited to catch up with you again in the future. Hopefully there will not be another pandemic between the next time we talk.
Honestly, knock on wood. We both said it at the same time. What if we had knocked in sync right then? That would have been crazy. That would have been
fantastic.
That would have
literally
been fantastic.
I'm going to say that in the show notes.
No.
So Phoebe, where can everybody find you? Wait. No, sorry. I have one question.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. I think I asked it last time, but it might have changed.
Yeah.
This is the signature question of the podcast. Do you have a favorite failure?
A favorite failure.
And I know we talked about how you define failure earlier.
Ooh,
but
yes.
in your definition.
Failure. Jeez.
It could be musical. It could be personal. You don't have to answer. It's totally up to you.
I think I was talking previously about just like writing all of those songs for that 3-part movie series of Netflix movies, and writing and pitching and just like none of them placing. And that's my favorite failure because I just thought it was so funny.
Really?
I was like, what? Why do you keep asking me to write for this? And then I literally was like laughing every time. I was like, then like, why do you keep asking me to write for it? But that was probably my favorite. And also my favorite because I got so many good songs out of it.
Yeah.
But I haven't had like a huge like fail.
Right.
Because I'm just like, well, I feel like as a songwriter, you just always get a song. So
yeah,
how could it be a failure?
That is an extremely great outlook. So.
Well, it's not always true of my brain, but I try to stay there.
Yeah. Well, like, it seems like in the trajectory of your career, like everything you do is just another tool in your arsenal.
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
add to more things. So I think that's a mark of a great musician and a great person. To
thank
always
you.
be like, well, I learned something. Gonna add this to the thing and keep rolling.
What a kindness. Thank you, Keegan.
Well, now we are
Yes.
done with the podcast. Where can people find you?
You can find me at Phoebe is Loud, Phoebe is Loud on all the things. That's my Twitter, my Instagram, my everything. So you find me. I do have a TikTok. That is my username on TikTok. There's nothing there, and I'm off the app because it made me feel bad about myself. But you can still follow me on there.
Yeah.
For love. But yeah, so that's me.
That's fantastic. Oh, dang it. I did it again. That's great.
And you can find my band, Coopertheband, at Coopertheband on all the things as well.
And y'all are going on tour soon?
We are. We're doing a run of shows in the Northeast. We have a wedding for a family friend that we're playing. It's actually Cooper's girlfriend Christina's sister is getting married in Philly, and we're doing her wedding, which we're so excited about, and we're going to hit some shows along the way. So we're going to be in Philadelphia at Music Fest with a K that weekend. I think that's the second weekend in August. I'll give you the date. You can put it in the show notes.
Sweet.
And then we're also going to be in Buffalo, New York that weekend as well. So if you're in that area, come on out.
That sounds great.
Yeah, you can follow at Cooper the Band on all the things for all the updates.
There we go.
Yeah.
That was expertly done.
Thank you very much. I'm always promoting myself because I'm an independent artist.
Very cool. All right, guys. This has been another episode of The Modern Working Musician. Thank you so much again, Phoebe.
Of course.
And we will see you guys next time.
Goodbye.
Thank you all so much for listening. This has been another episode of The Modern Working Musician. If you are interested in learning more about the podcast, you can visit keeganpaluso.com/modernworkingmusician. Likewise, if you're interested in advertising with The Modern Working Musician, you can find me at keeganpaluso.com or keeganpalusomusic@gmail.com. You can find us on all platforms at Modern Working Musician. Thank you guys so much for listening, and have a great day.